Welcome back to my series where I'm ranking every single episode from each Doctor. Today we're going to be talking about the Ninth Doctor, played by Christopher Eccleston. The Ninth Doctor was my second Doctor. I first watched David Tennant and then I slowly moved into the Ninth Doctor. I had to shake off the whole David Tennant's the only good Doctor thing that was really in the air at the time of fandom when I was watching. So I'm happy that's changed now and people are open to different Doctors. And I loved this season when I watched it. And it breaks my heart that we only ever got one season with him. But I guess it's the age-old thing of less is sometimes more. It's all about quality over quantity. And this season is so good. So let's jump straight into it. Let's start off with Rose. Rose is such an important story in Doctor Who's history. This is the make or break moment for the show. Either this is going to work or Doctor Who's done. This episode had to be good. And I think this episode does a really good job at saying what new Doctor Who is about. This is the era where it's still inspired by the 7th Doctor and 8th Doctor's run. There's the elements of it's all about the new companion and how they interact with the Doctor. There's an emphasis on setting it on contemporary Earth time. Like these are two things that are in common with those two eras. And Russell was really smart with bringing back the Autons, which were introduced in John Pertwee's first story, which was another story set in contemporary Earth. He seems to be taking elements from different eras that really worked and putting it all together in this and adding his own spice to make it his. You have the Ninth Doctor talking about the turn of the universe and stuff like that is so magical. And it's really just showing why this show needed to be back on television, why it has so much potential, and finally it's given enough budget to work. Next up, we have The End of the World, and I put that in the good category. This story is so ambitious, probably too ambitious for what the budget actually is, but they managed to pull it off so well. It's really chucking you in the deep end into the type of alien races that Doctor Who has. It feels like we're calling back to the Curse of Peladon in a sense, and how they have a bunch of weird different aliens and they all come together. That's what this does really well. And the addition of Cassandra is excellent. She is such a great villain and it's so great that she comes back in the 10th Doctor's era as well. It has a real sense of humor to it, which is a lot of sci-fi in this time period just didn't have. It was all very serious, it was all very straight down the line and very boring and bland. Whereas Doctor Who was like, let's bring out a jukebox and play Toxic by Britney Spears. That's the type of show this is, and it's brilliant. And that's why Doctor Who was such a big success, because it was nothing like anything else. And that's when Doctor Who thrives. Once it starts being like everything else, it gets forgotten about, because why would you bother? Because Doctor Who can't compete with these shows that have much bigger budgets. It needs to be its own quirky thing in order to succeed. Next up, we have The Unquite Dead. This is a great one as well. It's nice that the Ninth Doctor kind of got his own Christmas special in a sense. And I love that Doctor Who wasn't afraid of being scary and trying to push that and see how far can we get. And it goes way further as the series goes on. But I think Mark Gatiss finds this perfect balance of being scary but family friendly. And that's why this one works. It also has Eve Miles in it, and Eve Miles is just an incredible performer. And every time she's on screen, I love it. I just love everything she does. So she's a great addition to the story as well. And it makes so much sense why they were like, we need her for Torchwood. She has to come back. This is a superstar. I think it's a good time period to visit as well, seeing Charles Dickens. I think it's nice to have that celebrity historical interaction. And that's something they do a lot further on as the series goes on, with Agatha Christie. It makes sense to visit these people because why wouldn't you? You'd want to go and visit the Beatles. That's the type of stuff that Doctor Who should be about. It's the excitement of time travel. And that's what this era is really doing. It's making time travel exciting and fun. And it's like you want to join them on this trip of a lifetime. Next up, I'm going to talk about Aliens of London and World War III as a two-parter, so I'm saying it's one story. I like both of these, but this is where Doctor Who is still trying to find out its line. Are we doing fart jokes or are we not? Like, how serious is Doctor Who? When does the family-friendly line go more towards childish? But it's also trying to tell like political stories as well. So it's trying to find that balance. I don't know if it fully gets it. Next up, we have Dalek, where of course this one's going to be up the top, best of the best. It's such a brilliant story. It really shows the Doctor's complete disdain for the Daleks, which is something that kind of gets lost as the series goes on in the new series. The Daleks once again become a bit of a laughing joke, whereas at this time they're taken 100% seriously. These are the Doctor's greatest nemesis. They've killed his people. They're the reason why all the Time Lords are gone. You know, his hatred for himself is within the Daleks as well, you know. So there's so much going on there. And it's stuck in this location that they can't escape from. It's really tense and it's just brilliant. I can't think of a single negative in this story. It's just perfect Doctor Who. This is what the show needed to get back. It needed the Daleks to be taken seriously as a threat and the show would be fine. And that's what they did and that's why it worked. Next up is The Long Game. I think this is probably one of the more weaker stories of the season. I don't think there's anything too exciting about it. It's not a story that I love to revisit, but I do like the storyline with Adam. I love the idea of the Doctor meeting someone, they come along with them, they travel with the Doctor, and then they realize you're not companion material. And I really, really like that. It's something the show hadn't done before. And I think it was executed really, really well. And that's probably what the story is actually about. But the rest of the elements in it are not really for me. Next up is Father's Day. I would say this is one of my favorite Doctor Who stories of all time. I'm putting it up there. It's so heartbreaking. And it's exactly what you would do if you had a time machine if you were Rose. And this is the type of story that should have been done years ago, but it wasn't the type of story Doctor Who used to tell. But now this is the type of story Doctor Who wants to tell and should tell. This is the era for it. I like that Rose got to meet her own dad and realize that he's a flawed person. And I think that is the most like adult thing, is realizing these people you grew up with are just people too. They're flawed. And I think that's why this really, really works. Next up is The Empty Child / The Doctor Dances. I'm once again putting this as one big story. This story is brilliant. This is the reason why Stephen Moffat is such a staple in Doctor Who. I feel like no other writer really gets Doctor Who more than Stephen Moffat. I am a big Stephen Moffat lover. He has his flaws, like all writers do, but his view on Doctor Who and what Doctor Who is really resonates with me. This story, from beginning to end, is scary, it's funny, and it's brilliant. I love the setting of World War II, which is something the show hadn't done too much in the past, but I think it really sells it here. During the London Blitz, it really feels like you've traveled back in time. It feels so representative of the time. I love the introduction of Captain Jack. Captain Jack is a really important character for me because, you know, I watched Torchwood before Doctor Who. So, you know, my connection with the show was of Captain Jack. And, you know, as like a queer teenager who had no gay friends growing up, Captain Jack was that representation for me. This is the only person that I really felt like I knew. You know, so it's an important character for me. So this story is very pivotal for me as a teenager growing up, for sure. Next up is Boomtown. I put them next to Aliens of London World War III, but I do prefer this story over them. I love the scene at the restaurant where they're discussing the ethics behind it all. And I really enjoy that conversation. It's just trying to kill him at every single point, and he stops her just beforehand. It's really funny, yet really interesting to watch. I find Boomtown less silly, but with Annette Badland, I think I'm saying her name right, she is so brilliant and has such great screen presence that you're willing to forgive some of the sillier elements of it. And it makes sense why this has been only appear in the Sarah Jane Adventures afterwards, because they are just too kid-friendly and not really family-friendly. And finally, let's talk about Bad Wolf / Parting of the Ways. This is peak. Oh, look at this ranking list. Look how high everything is. This is a good season of Doctor Who. This is what it's all about, baby. This is what it's all about. I didn't put anything in the not for me category. Bad Wolf / Parting of the Ways is one of the greatest Dalek stories. It's one of the greatest regeneration stories. I love that scene of Rose, Jackie, and Mickey in the diner, and they're talking about chips whilst the world is being destroyed in the far future. You know, how Rose sees time at that time is changing. It's like, well, right here it's not happening, but it is happening right now, just somewhere else. And the perception of how the Doctor Who universe works has changed instantly. I think the Daleks are at their creepiest in this, you know, when they're floating up behind the window in the spaceship. It's brilliant. You know, a prototype companion who gets killed off. a parody on Big Brother and other reality TV shows. It's just so smart. And it's just so good. Every single element in this all comes together and just works. This is what Doctor Who's about. And it's clear that Russell had been thinking about what he wanted this series to be for a long time and just nailed it. This is one of the strongest runs Doctor Who has ever had, and it's really difficult to beat it. And it's thanks to Christopher Eccleston's amazing performance and everyone involved with it as well. It's just a masterpiece. So that's the Ninth Doctor's era. Unfortunately, cut too short, but I think it really is a solid season. And if you haven't given it a go, you need to. This is top tier Doctor Who, without a doubt. Next time, we'll be talking about the 10th Doctor's era, played by David Tennant. Okay. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Josh Snares YouTube channel.